Okie dokie, let me open the PowerPoint now. Okay, now during the last class, we introduced the class talking about the different features that characterize this market system, okay? And we spoke about these features. These are the main features over here. They always are present in an economic market economy, the private property, specialization, consumer sovereignty, competition, profit, voluntary exchange, and government involvement is limited. Like it says over here, minimal government intervention, okay? So that's the first part. Now, during the second part, we are going to talk about the circular flow in a market economy. I am not going to explain it right now because I have a couple of videos that really are very, they tell you and they explain it easily, okay? So I'm not gonna focus on this. The only thing I'm going to focus is that in this circular, remember these are models that represents how something works, okay? Okay, this is a model that they prepare economists. So in this model only, there are four how could I say, 4 items or 4 elements that are involved in this circular flow. We are, well, let me see, where is the pointer? Oh, here. We are the households. Somos nosotros los consumidores. We are individuals. Somos los individuos. Y del otro lado está la fábrica, el negocio, the business, ¿ok? El mercado está aquí, el mercado donde nosotros compramos y el mercado donde ellos compran acá. La fábrica necesitan materia prima para poder producir y después se lo envían al mercado. Ah, no, acá está el mercado de productos acá. Este mercado factor markets, acá está el factor markets y acá product market, acá es el producto, acá nosotros compramos. Y acá de aquí de la fábrica lo envían acá y de acá nosotros vamos acá y compramos. Y el dinero que viene acá viene para pagar lo que fabricó el productor. Ya, no se preocupen, eso lo van a ver ahorita mismo en un video que está muy sencillo, ya. No me voy a meter en eso. Ayer traté de explicárselo, pero no. Así que uno aprende por ensayo y error. Okay, now let's focus on the advantage or disadvantage of the market economy, okay? We know already some advantages, okay? But I'm gonna give you some more. Freedom is one of the chief advantages of a market economy. Hay libertad, okay? A market economy requires that individuals be free to make their own economic choices or decisions, since it depends on the customer's right to buy or refuse a product, okay? Individuals are also free to develop their interests and talents in where they find satisfying rather than being assigned a job, like it happens in a command system. They assign you and you have to do it. Now, another advantage, the government does not use a heavy hand, so it's not involved deeply in the activities. To control the economy, the political process can be much freer, más libre, with a diversity of viewpoints and open elections. The third one is profit motive, motivo de la ganancia. A key feature of a market economy ensures that resources will be allocated effectively, since inefficiency would result a lower profit. Así que ellos tienen que saber cómo ubicarlo de una manera eficiente para poder tener el mejor rendimiento. Si lo ubican mal, entonces por supuesto van a tener low profit, bajo rendimiento. It's also served as a reward for a hard work and innovation. The next one, if you can come up with a good idea, it's an incentive to do so. And the more good ideas people have, the more the economic grows. O sea que uno puede, si uno tiene una idea, se le da un incentivo a la persona que trajo esa idea o la puso en práctica, o si uno es dueño de empresa, uno pone una idea, por supuesto le va a rendir en beneficios, ¿ya? Diferencia en el mercado o en la competencia. The incentive to come up with good ideas is related to another advantage of market economy. It encourages competition, eso es lo que le acabo de decir, la competencia. Si tú ves que en un sitio me están ofreciendo algo más, que tengo una ventaja sobre la competencia, yo me voy mejor acá, voy a comprarlo acá. En vez de repente el rey me está ofreciendo a mejor precio o alguna promoción, me voy para el rey, o al 99, o al extra. ¿Ya? Los incentivos. Competition leads to higher quality. La competencia leads to higher quality production at lower price. It also helps to create a diverse products market. Okay. Muy bien, esto eran las ventajas. Now, en el primer cuadro se resumen las desventajas. Disadvantage of a market system. Is unequal distribution in income and wealth. Definitivamente. No hay una distribución equitativa. Y eso es lo que sucede en estos tipos de mercados. La distribución de las riquezas. No sé si ustedes habrán escuchado. La famosa distribución de las riquezas no es equitativa. El que es pobre siempre es pobre y lo están explotando. No es como en la economía, command economy. Ahí tratan de que todos tengan lo mismo. Tratan por lo mismo. ¿Ya? Pero aquí no es el problema de market economy. Aquí el que trabaja bien, que se zurra, a veces no logra, pero hay otros que sí. Pero bueno, así es. A veces no es justo. This exploitation of an economical poorer and less powerful. La explotación económica de las personas más pobres y los menos poderosos. Definitivamente, sí sucede. Disadvantage group. Hay una desventaja en ciertos grupos. Los migrants, los inmigrantes, los low-term unemployed are unfairly treated. Son tratados de una manera incorrecta. ¿Ok? Muy bien. Sigamos acá. The industry boom in the United States in the late 1800 and the late 1900 illustrate the problem that can develop in a market economy with little government regulation. Por eso mismo. Eso sucedió cuando no había muchas regulaciones gubernamentales. During this time, a few business leaders became very, very rich. At the same time, most of those who worked for those leaders were paid low. Issues like this led most industrialized societies to adopt some level of government involvement in the economy. Por eso que siempre he dicho, el gobierno siempre que tiene que meter manos para tratar de que la balanza no se vaya solamente a los que tienen más dinero. Hay que tratar de buscar un balance. Muy bien, hasta aquí termina el capítulo. Acuérdense que tenemos que terminar la pregunta 1 y hacer en el cuaderno 1, la 2, la 3, la 4 y la 5. Yo no creo que le dije la... Acuérdense que yo le envío esa información a través de el ISAE, chicos. En el ISAE está la información. Pues si mal no recuerdo, son las 5 primeras. Tienen que estar escritas en su cuaderno. Acuérdense también de su vocabulario. Acuérdense el vocabulario este que está. Este vocabulario también está en el capítulo. Este vocabulario number 3, chapter number 3. Ok, chicos. La otra semana entraremos en chapter number 4. Ok. Muy bien. Vamos a ver entonces el video que talks about the circular flow. Cómo el dinero circula dentro del mercado, de este mercado. Ok. Vamos a buscarlo aquí. ¿Dónde está Circular Matrix? No, ese es más lo último. Vamos a ver este que es más. Este mismo. Vamos a ver este.
In this video, you're going to learn about market economy circular flow models. So there are 4 stops on this flow model, and we're going to start with households. Households are individuals who live in the country. They do 2 roles in the economy. The first thing is they are consumers, which means that they buy and purchase things. The other thing that they do is that they are resource owners, and the resource that most people own is labor. Some other people might own land or other precious metals or other resources like that, but everyone has labor that they can sell. The next stop on the circular flow model would be firms. Firms are businesses. These are the places where things are produced. So if you like to picture a factory, that's a really good way to keep what a firm is in your mind. So this is where things are produced. Now, the next step between firms and households is what's called the product market. In the product market, like any market, you have a buyer and seller coming together. So the things that are produced at the firm are sold here in the product market to the households. And finally, you have the factor market. And the factor market is still where things are bought or sold, only the things being bought and sold this time are not products, but they are the factors of production. So think land, think capital, and of course, labor. So these are the 4 stops on the model. Now we're going to start with households and where their money goes. So these green lines are going to represent monetary flow. And the first relationship here is household spending. As you know, households, individuals go to the product market and they buy things. They give their money from the household to the product market, so that's spending. That money is then going to make its way from the product market to the firm in the form of revenue. So revenue is the money that companies bring in before they pay their costs. So that household spending passes through the product market and becomes revenue, which goes to the firm. But the firms don't keep that money. What they do is they send that money out in the form of wages and salaries. They have to pay for the factors of production, the land, the labor, and the capital, and they have to send their money to the factor market. Once that money goes to the factor market, it then finds its way, of course, back to the household in the form of income. So this is the monetary flow. Households spend their money in the product market. It enters back into the firm as revenue. The firm pays out wages and salaries through the factor market, and these wages and salaries become income for the households, and around it goes. But there's an exchange that happens here. First, households are providing their labor and their resources, and in exchange, they're getting income. So their labor and resources go to the factor market. From the factor market, their labor and resources find their way ultimately over to the firm itself. The firm's need and labor and resources to produce things. Of course, once the firm has produced things, those things, which we can call products or goods and services, will make their way to the product market. So the factory sends its products to the store, to market. And once those things find the prospective buyer, they finally go all the way back to the households. And so this is a rather complex looking model. There are 12 different things to remember, but an easier way to do it is to think of it as a series of relationships. For example, if you look at the space between products and spending, you'll notice that it's just a trade there that's happening between the product market and the household. The household gives up spending and they get products. And that goes for any stop on this. The firm pays out wages and salaries, and in return, they're going to get some labor. And so it's much better to study this as a series of relationships rather than a bunch of disconnected stops on a complex model. And there you have it. That's the circular flow model. Hopefully this made a lot of sense and you learned a lot, and have a great day. Thank you for watching.
Okay, I'm trying to change to the other, here it is.
Of course, once the firm has produced things, those things are models.
Okay, now. This is, where is it? Ah, this is the one, okay. Open it. Here we go.
Hey, this is Jacob Clifford. Welcome to ACDC Econ. Today I'm going to show you something that's all around you that most people don't even see. It's called the Matrix, and you're inside it right now. The circular flow matrix, or model, shows how products, resources, and money flow in the economy. Now look at your surroundings. Seriously, take a moment and look around you. The matrix is everywhere.
It is all around us. Even now, in this very room.
In a market economy, there's households, which is just people like you and me, and there's also businesses. Now, businesses sell goods and services to the households in something called the product market. It's not like just one place. It's anywhere things are sold, like online or the mall or the street corner, anywhere you can buy stuff. The computer or phone in front of you right now is a great example. I mean, you didn't produce that. A business did, and they sold it to you in the product market. The same thing applies to your chair or pencil or the book over there, everything around you. But to make those goods and services, businesses need resources like workers and machines. In the free market, households own the resources and they're sold to the businesses in the resource market. Economists point out that there's 4 categories of resources or 4 factors of production. The first one is land, which is any natural resource or anything that comes from Mother Nature. Then there's labor, then capital, which is tools and machines, and finally, someone to bring it all together, the entrepreneur. That's why it's called the circular flow matrix. Those resources are being used by the business to produce the products that people turn around and go buy. Now, what about money? Well, it goes the other direction. When you buy your phone in the product market, you had to pay them money. That's called consumer spending. Now, that money makes its way to the businesses, and they call it revenue. But the business doesn't get to keep all that money. They've got to pay for resources, and that's called the cost of production. It's being paid to engineers that develop the phone. Those engineers earned income. Economists break down income into 4 different types that go along with each of the 4 factors of production. They're called factor payments. When you sell land, you earn rent. When you sell labor, you earn wages. For capital, you get interest, and for entrepreneurship, you get profit. So this is it, the circular flow matrix that shows how a market economy works. Whoa. Now, let me ask you a few questions to see if you really understand the matrix. First question, is your local mall an example of the product market or the resource market? It's both. Some people are there to buy products in the product market, but there's some people who are working or trying to get a job, and that's a resource market. So products, resources, and money are all being exchanged. Okay, next question. Do businesses demand or supply? The answer is both. They demand in the resource market, but they supply in the product market. Households, on the other hand, demand in the product market, and they supply in the resource market. So both businesses and households are supplying and demanding. So far, this model is showing the private sector with just households and businesses. But there's a bunch of important things missing, like national defense, schools, and roads. Those things aren't produced by businesses. So let's add in the government and the public sector. The size and role of the government in the economy depends on a country's economic system, but in most market economies, the government still plays a role. First, the government buys goods and services from businesses in the product market, for example, fire trucks. And just like households, they pay for them. That's called government spending. The government also buys resources in the resource market, like teachers and firefighters. Again, it pays for those resources, which is again called government spending. The government then turns around and provides public goods and services like fire protection, schools, roads, and bridges to businesses and households. The government also pays money to businesses called subsidies or households called welfare. Economists call those transfer payments. There are situations when the government's giving out money but not for goods and services. It's to meet some other objective like to alleviate poverty or get companies to produce more fuel-efficient cars. But how does the government afford to provide public goods and welfare and subsidies? Well, they tax businesses and households. Income taxes and sales taxes fund government projects and programs. Now, there's several things still missing from this matrix, including a financial sector where money isn't spent, it's saved and then loaned out, and also the role of other countries with exports and imports. But for now, this diagram gives you a pretty good idea of how a modern economy works. One final thought. In the movie, the matrix enslaves people.
You are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage.
Many people wonder if capitalism and this hamster wheel of constantly spending and earning and spending and earning enslaves people. Now, would your life be better off if you pulled a Thoreau and just lived out in the woods? I don't know, but what I do know is there's a lot of things you'd have to live without. First, there'd be no cell phones or computers, so say goodbye to YouTube. And also, there'd be no modern medicine or hospitals. It would be nice if none of us had to work, but there's a trade-off to that. So does the Matrix enslave us or liberate us? Let me know in the comments below, all right? Thanks for watching. Till next time. Next video, more videos. Subscribe and leave a comment.
That's all what I have for you. Stop this machine. Okay, guys, this is everything what I got. We have concluded the chapter market system. So next week we're gonna work on another topic that is related to this economy. And the topic is about the modern economies in a global age. Modern economies in a global age. That's gonna be next week. But I don't think, oh yeah, you'll have time because you are A, because on Wednesday you don't have class with me, so I'll see you, on Thursday, because on Thursday is a day off. So we'll introduce this class on Friday. Or at least we'll try to introduce. Okay, guys? So anyway, you have some doubts, some questions regarding the the mind map, you can ask me, you can send me messages through Neo. I'm gonna be here today, tomorrow, and until Sunday. So you have any doubt, just, as I said, you can do it either online or by hand, okay, guys? Anyway, do you have any questions, guys? Questions? No questions? No? Okay, then if you don't have any questions,